Hi there, Vicky. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you, Andrew?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's
Good.
unusual for me to be teaching at this time of day. I'm kind of getting used to it, but sort of having this block at the end of the day as well as the beginning, but I kind of like it.
Good. Did you have a space in the middle of the day then?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've
A
just
little bit?
got, your normal sort of ongoing yoga studio administration tasks to do.
Yeah, of course.
So we're still, we still have to run all of the business side of things, even though there's not a lot happening in the physical space right now.
Yep,
But
all that stuff doesn't stop, does it?
it does not stop. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How are you all this evening?
Good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll just give the last couple of people time to log on.
Andrew, would you ever consider having a 200-hour training online this summer? Is that a possibility?
We will be, yes. We will be hosting one probably starting, I think, early July, I'm thinking. So yeah.
A 200-hour in Spanish online?
It won't be in Spanish, it will be in English. Because at the end of the day, well, I mean, Andrea does lead teacher trainings in Spanish, but all of the materials that we've got are in English. So, but if you're interested in learning with us, it's certainly something we can chat a little bit more about.
Yeah, well, do people mostly get certified in English and then just take extra courses like this one?
I mean, that very much depends on your interests. I've done both, and honestly, I mean, I think it's great to do both if you can. I would say for your first teacher training, do it in a language where you're pretty fluent in Spanish, so I imagine it won't be too much more difficult. But as someone else who's reasonably fluent in Spanish, I definitely noticed that it's extra work doing it in Spanish because it doesn't come out just kind of so naturally and so easily. And especially when you're doing things like talking about, complex philosophical ideas in a second language, it's good to maybe understand those in a first language before you take that step.
Yeah, I could definitely see where that would be super valuable, but I'll talk to you later a little bit about this.
Let's do that for sure. All right. Welcome to class, everyone. How are you all doing this evening? Okay. So today, what I thought we would do is we'd start off by having a very, very quick look at some of the verbs that you've learned. So I'm going to share the presentation with you. Let's pop an extra slide in here. Okay. So we'll start with Juliana. Juliana, what was one of the new verbs that you learned yesterday?
Sorry, I have my notes here.
That's all right. Take it down.
Oh, verbs. Juntar.
Juntar. Nice. So what does juntar mean?
To join.
To join. Good. And what would that look like in the we form?
Nos juntamos.
Yeah, so it's not necessary to make it reflective unless you're talking about everybody joining themselves together. Yeah? So that might be right. If you wanted to say, oh, let's join together in the middle of the room because you want people to kind of sit down in a circle or something, then it would be right to say nos juntamos. But if what you're just trying to say is like join the feet, then it's juntamos los pies, and you don't need it to be reflexive. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Perfect. Who can tell me what is the adjective that comes from juntar? If I want to say that my feet are together, what's the adjective that comes from juntar?
Juntado.
So it could be juntado. And that means that's literally the past participle of juntar, or it could be juntos. Junto, junta, juntos, juntas. Okay? Very good. Okay. Vicky, what was one of the words that you learned last night?
Alagar.
Alargar. Very good. What does that mean?
To lengthen.
Good. What's that going to look like in the we form?
Alargamos.
Good. Is it likely that we're ever going to see that in the reflexive form?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, it's probably not very common to say let's lengthen ourselves. You might, but it'd be much more common to have that with an object, like lengthen the spine, lengthen the neck, lengthen the back. Yeah. Good. Joanna, what was one of the verbs you learned last night?
Enraizamos.
Nice. Enraizar, enraizamos. What does that mean?
To root.
To root. Good. And would we get that ever in the reflexive?
No.
Would we ever say, let's root ourselves into the floor?
No.
Actually, in Spanish, you would. That's kind of common. You could say, it's one of those ones that's kind of 50-50. You could easily say, enraizamos los pies en la colchoneta. Yeah? Or you could say, nos enraizamos bien en la colchoneta. You know, root yourself down into the mat. Yeah? So we could actually use enraizar. All right. Good. Claire, what was one of the words you learned last night?
Boy, I know poner, but ponerse de pie.
Nice. Well done. Ponerse de pie. Could you put that into the we form for me?
Nos ponemos de pie.
Nice. Nos ponemos de pie. And what does that mean?
To stand up.
Good. So that's automatically a reflexive verb. Well done. Catherine.
What's this one? Colocar.
Colocar. Nice. What does colocar mean?
It is to place versus to put.
Place. Yeah. And what would that look like in the we form?
Colocamos.
Colocamos. Good. Okay. Diane.
Redondear.
Nice. Redondear. So redondear is most commonly used in cat and cow, and specifically in cat pose. So in cat pose, we're creating this kind of arched shape, this bridge shape in the back, right? And redondear means to round. And quite often it's contrasted with the verb arquear, which means to arch. And that's often used in a back bend, and redondear is often used in a forward fold. So redondear, spinal flexion, arquear, spinal extension. Good. What's that going to look like in the we form?
Redondeamos.
Redondeamos. Do you think that would ever find its way to the reflexive form?
Yeah, a lot of these make sense in a reflexive form to me because I feel like that's what yoga teachers say in English. They use it. So while people were doing cat and cow, I could see a teacher saying nos redondeamos if we didn't see what we were rounding.
Yeah, definitely. So you could definitely see that either in the reflexive form or in the regular form. Nos redondeamos or redondeamos la espalda. Good, well done. Let's do one more round. Juliana, what was another one of the words you learned last night?
Activar.
One more time.
Activar.
Nice, activar. What does activar mean?
To activate.
Yeah, or to maybe engage is probably a more common way of saying it in English. What does that look like in the we form? Are you there? So I'm just going to write that down. I think her internet may have cut out. That would be activamos, to engage. Okay, Vicky, what was another one of the words that you learned last night?
Saltar.
So is that with an A?
Activamos.
Saltar.
Saltar with an A, yep.
Good. Saltar. What's that in the we form?
Saltamos.
Nice. And what's that going to mean?
To jump.
To jump. Beautiful. And that's to be distinguished from soltar with an O, which means to release. Good. Joanna?
Estirar,
One more time.
estirar,
Estirar.
estirar,
Yeah. So estirar, estiramos. What does it mean?
to stretch,
To stretch. Good. Do you think you find that in the reflexive form?
yes. Nos estiramos,
Yeah, you definitely would see that in the reflexive form sometimes. Nos estiramos en Urdhva Hastasana. Yeah, so let's stretch ourselves in, or just in English, we just say, let's stretch in Urdhva Hastasana. Good. Claire, what was one of the other verbs you learned last night?
Rotar.
Rotar? Good.
Rotamos.
Nice. To
rotate.
rotate. Good. So specifically used for things like the shoulders, the biceps, the sit bones. Yeah. So it's a verb that I use all the time when I teach in Spanish. Nice. Catherine, what was another one that you learned last night?
Meant to help me with pronunciation on this one, but enderezar.
Yeah, nice. Enderezar. What does that mean?
Straighten.
To straighten. And what's the we form?
Enderezamos.
Good, well done. And finally, Diane, what was another one of the words that you learned last night?
Presionar.
Good, the we form?
Presionamos.
Good, and that means to press. Okay. Good, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to separate you into two groups, and I'm going to give you a series of very, very brief instructions that in English that I would like you to translate into Spanish. Okay? So, whenever you're ready, you can click on your teams, and you're just going to take 5 minutes now to translate these simple phrases from English into Spanish. Okay, so whenever you're ready, you can click, and I'm going to share with you over the chat what your phrases are.
Hola.
Hey.
So group one, I would like you to do extended side angle and transference. Oh, I seem to have translated all of that for you.
I'm hearing you.
Yeah, we.
Can't hear me?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, so if you have a look in the group chat, you should be able to see 3 things: triangle, Trikonasana, side angle, and wide-legged forward fold. So I would like you to translate triangle and side angle, those 2 postures, and you can see the phrases that I'd like you to translate there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Extended side angle, or do you want the extended on there too?
Well, all I want you to do is literally just translate the text that you can see on the screen there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So triangle and extended side angle.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to join the other room and let them know.
In Spanish, right?
What's that, sorry?
Sorry, you said in Spanish, right?
Yeah, from English into Spanish. The English is there. I want you to put it into Spanish.
The English, sorry, the English is where? I don't see it.
in the chat. If you click on the
The group
chat.
chat.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Okay. I'll give you 5 minutes for that.
I'm gonna do a
Hi, team.
Hey.
So if you have a look in the group chat and you scroll down to the bottom of the chat, you should see 3 very brief instructions in English. You should be able to see triangle, side angle, and wide-legged forward fold. I would like you to translate side angle and wide-legged forward fold into Spanish. Does that make sense? So literally just to take the phrases there you see in the chat and put them into Spanish. Open the legs, align the heel with the arch. Does that make sense?
Sure. I just don't see anything in the chat.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, let me see if I can
There we go.
see it now.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So open the
Just
leg.
side angle and wide-legged forward fold. Don't worry about triangle.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Leg, side angle. Open the legs. Abremos los piernas.
It's a IR verb, so it's abrimos las piernas, I think it's feminine.
Abrimos las piernas.
And then align, I don't know if I know that one.
Either. I know when I was practicing, there were a couple that I was like, I don't know those. Twist, like stuff like that. Align. I don't know.
So there are some that you might need to look in your handouts to figure out.
Alinear.
Oh. Was it with an onion? Should we? Oh no, that goes to everyone. I was gonna say we could type in the chat as we come up with it.
Actually, to us in this little group, so that's fine.
Oh, that's what everyone means. Okay, so I'll write the first one that we had already.
Perfect. And then alineamos.
Alineamos, so like with an onion?
No.
Alineamos. ALINAMOS.
Alineamos. Ooh, heel and arch.
El talón is the heel, I think.
Talón con un acento, con un tilde sobre el o. Yeah, okay, I have to pull up the PowerPoint.
I believe talón is heel.
Heel and the arch.
Arco.
Go. Easy.
Oh, arco?
Alineamos el. What did we say the hill was again? I just said it.
What's this one?
I think
Alineamos?
this one's opposite. It's alineamos.
Alineamos
Oh, yes.
el talón y el arco.
I
Con
wish I could delete. Is alineamos good? Because the way you guys are pronouncing it to me sounds like an onion.
I think it's like this.
Oh, alineamos. Okay, that's why I'm hearing it differently.
Alineamos.
NEAR. Alineamos.
And then
Extendemos. Oh, I forgot the.
extendamos. Oh, las, or it's made a C, I think. El costado. So extendamos el costado.
Then
Oh, extendemos. Oh, you're right. Is it? It's in
which
the
one, which one are you on? The third line on side angle?
Yeah, extend the side body.
Extend this.
I gotta study the body parts.
Where does it say that? Where does it say extend the side body?
Open the legs, align the heel with the arch, extend the side body.
Oh, I think he said to skip that line. Didn't you say?
Yeah, it's best to skip triangle because we don't have time to get through all 3. So just do side angle and wide-legged forward fold.
You know, we were confused because the first 2 lines are the same.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
they make sense. They're very similar to one another.
yeah, now we're on bend.
Yeah, bend the front knee.
Doblamos. Oh. Flexionamos.
Flexionar. Flexionamos. Para frente.
Flexionamos. The front knee. I think it's not gonna be like frente. I think it's just
Oh, sorry. Remember.
like the different like.
Via in frente, in el, or del frente.
So remember, we had a little look at adjectives. Yeah. We had a little look. There's a page of adjectives, and the word for front is not del frente. It's delantero o delantera. And the word for back is trasero o trasera. So bend the front knees, flexionamos la rodilla
Delantera.
delantera. That's the one. You got it.
Flexionamos with an N or flexiamos?
So always look in your notes. If you're ever in doubt, look in your notes. It's got an O, flexionamos.
Flexionamos.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes and then we'll meet back in the main room. I'm just going to check in on the other group.
Okay.
Muslo.
En el muslo.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
How
Well,
are we?
that's okay. Musculo sounds a lot like muslo, so don't feel bad. I don't know if we're gonna say encima. That's what I'm wondering about that.
Oh, like on the.
Yeah, but I don't even.
Colocamos el codo derecho encima del muslo.
So we'll talk a little bit more about this today. There's actually three different prepositions we use there. Encima de is fine. So just pop that down for now.
Okay.
Are you typing it or do you want me to type it?
Oh, I didn't type it, but go. You can type it if you want.
Okay, colocamos el codo derecho encima del muslo.
So now that looks great. So now we have raise the left hand over the
But-
head.
Can I interrupt? Is right derecha?
But it has to agree with,
Oh, sí, sí.
Well-
Okay.
This codo is masculine.
Yep, gotcha. Lost my mind there for a second.
so raise, so for raise, do we want to use elevar or levantar? I think they're both okay.
Mm-hmm.
Levantamos
La mano sobre, this is here I am with the prepositions. Sobre,
la mano
okay, I lost you, Juliana. Elevar la mano izquierda sobre la cabeza.
Mm-hmm.
elevamos la mano izquierda.
Sobre la, do you like sobre la cabeza?
Yeah.
Sí.
Elevamos, oops.
How do you spell the izquierda? Is it with izquierda?
I can try it, but
Izquierda.
I can try it and then you can correct me.
Okay.
Elevamos, I just keep, every time the screen moves, I lose where I'm at. So now I'm lost. Okay, there it is. Elevamos la mano izquierda sobre la cabeza. Izquierda. I don't know if I'm right. I thought it has izquierda. It has a zeta. Okay. Well, Andrew will tell us if we don't know.
Oh, that's exactly how I wrote it. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So make
Cabeza
sure
is-
you've got all of those copied down because I'm going to close the breakout rooms now and we're going to come back and share our answers. Okay?
We were only able to do one pose.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I don't want this to take forever. I just want you to kind of, this is just to warm you up today, to get you into the Spanish mode.
Great.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
So whenever you're ready, you can go back to the main room. Okay. So can you all see there the text on the presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. We just need to wait for the other group to come back. So which posture do you translate?
Side angle.
Side angle.
It's funny, we started with Trikonasana and then we ended up doing side angle.
They're kind of similar. I mean, they only have, there's only a couple of things that are different there. So yeah. All right. So welcome back, everybody. So let's start with Joanna, Diane, and Catherine, I think was the group. Let's start with your side angle instructions. How did you translate open the legs?
Abremos piernas.
So let's keep this in the we form just for now. Abrimos.
Okay.
Okay, that was my fault. I told her abremos, so
No problem. Abrimos las piernas. Very good. Okay, who can help me with align the heel with the arch?
I picked alinear, but maybe that's wrong too.
Good. Alineamos. Good.
Okay. La rodilla. Oh, I'm sorry. El talón con el arco.
Nice. Good. Well done. Bend the front knee.
We wrote it out differently.
We wrote it out plural.
Yeah.
In what sense did you write it all plural? Sorry.
Los talones con los arcos.
De los pies.
De los pies.
That sounds very odd to me because if you're in side angle pose, you're only aligning one heel with one arch. So I think that's important to keep that singular. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So alineamos el talón con el arco. Good. What about bending the front knee?
Flexionamos la rodilla para.
So I didn't quite catch the end of that.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. Flexionamos la rodilla delantera. Is that
Good.
correct?
So this is an adjective that describes the knee, and the adjective is delantero, delantera. Good, and that means front. What
Should we
word
not? Should we
We
not?
also
So just one person at a time. Joanna,
we wrote something different.
what did you write?
Doblamos la rodilla del frente.
So, doblamos. Well, that to me suggests that we're folding the knee. So it's an instruction that I would typically use if I were getting people to kneel down. Doblamos las rodillas, right? If it's just coming into side angle, it's less than a 90-degree bend, or it's a 90-degree bend. So I would pick the verb flexionar in that context.
Okay.
Yeah, and la rodilla del frente, it's fine, but I think it sounds a little neater to use the word delantera. It just sounds a little bit nicer. La rodilla delantera.
Okay.
Okay, good. Place the right elbow on the thigh.
Catherine, do you want to say what you came up with?
Oh, sure. Colocamos el codo derecho en el muslo.
Nice. Very nice. So colocamos el codo derecho en el muslo. And the final one is raise the left hand over the head.
Right, and Andrew, we also, so for that one, we wrote, colocamos el codo derecho encima del muslo.
Also fine.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about prepositions today. What about raising the left hand over the head?
Subimos la mano derecha sobre la cabeza.
Nice.
Izquierda.
Another word would be extendemos.
Is it
Oh.
the left? Izquierda?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, izquierda.
What about saying elevamos?
Also fine. Yeah, any verb to do with raising, stretching, elevating, any of those will do just fine. All right, well done, very good. So group number 2, Claire, Juliana, and Vicky, I think it was. Which posture did you look at?
I was actually in the first group, but I can try for this one.
That's okay. Who was in the second group?
I think we were kind of trading off on that last one.
Yeah.
Did you do any other postures in the second group?
We did the right-legged fold.
All right, excellent. So how do we say open the legs?
Abremos las piernas.
So abremos or abrimos?
Abrimos.
Yes. Yeah, so just be a little bit careful of the vowel that you get in the verbs there. Abrimos las piernas.
That's actually my fault again.
Well, that's fine, but because abremos would be what? Subjunctive, I guess. Es necesario que abremos. No, that would be abramos. Abremos doesn't exist, I suppose. Anyway, let's not get confused and tied up with subjunctive for now. Let's just stick with the simple thing. So place the hands on the hips. What verb are we going to use for place?
Colocar.
Good. Okay, so who can help me translate?
Colocamos las manos en la cadera.
Very nice. So there, Joanna used the singular, la cadera. That's absolutely fine. Or you could use the plural, las caderas. Very nice. Bend forward.
So here we said we could maybe use the reflexive.
We did. Yeah, good.
So we had 2 options.
Mhm.
Nos doblamos or nos plegamos. Is that it? Plegamos? I forget.
Nos
Right.
pegamos. Yeah, good. Excellent. Either will do fine. Very good. Lengthen the spine.
Extendemos la columna.
Very good. Extendemos la columna. And finally, relax the neck.
Relajamos el cuello.
So can you see how in these instructions we've kept it super, super simple? Yeah? There's just a few very brief cues that are going to clearly and directly guide people into a posture. Does that make sense? So this is the method that I want you to start developing when you're teaching in Spanish. Because if you start simple, you make it really, really easy for yourself, then you can begin building up little by little as you get more confident, as your vocabulary grows, and it's going to get easier to make more complex and technical instructions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, great. So today we're looking at the final piece of the puzzle. So you may have noticed that there was maybe a little bit of confusion in the last exercise about prepositions. So words like on top of, over, next to, beneath. So what we're going to do is have a little look at those today. In your groups, I would like you to go back and redraw your sun salutation A. Okay? Now, on your sun salutation A's, I want you to write down any directions or prepositions that you think make sense for the sun salutation. So an example might be above or over, yeah? It might be forwards, it might be backwards, it might be to or towards, it might be on or next to, right? So for each posture, and only if it's relevant, you can write down any prepositions in English that make sense. So who can tell me, what are you going to do?
Write the prepositions as opposed to the verbs like we did yesterday.
So what's the first thing that you're going to do?
Redo sun salutation A are stick people.
Yeah, so redraw your stick people, and then next to each stick figure, what are you going to do?
Right? Prepositions that we would use in
Good,
English.
and in English, that's important. All right, so I'm going to mix up the groups, and whenever you're ready, you can click on your new breakout room.
Okay. Now, everyone wants to know why.
Kind of funny to think about.
I know. So, are we starting it? So do you want to start in Tadasana or Urdhva-Hastasana?
I guess we could start.
Tadasana.
I might.
So I don't know where to.
Sorry, go ahead. Is the volume clear? Can everyone hear me clearly?
You're cutting in and out. So somebody's cutting in and out.
Well, it actually sounds better for me now.
What I found is a really useful thing to do is if everybody puts their microphone on mute and then just unmute it when you want to talk. And that way you avoid all of the background. So is everybody clear on what you're going to do? You're going to draw your sun salutations. Remember that as we looked at the other day, you start in Tadasana, you go into Urdhva-Hastasana, you fold into Uttanasana. So it's in your handout if you're not sure about what the sequence is. And I just want this to be a reasonably quick exercise where for each one we think about a direction or a preposition that might make sense. Yeah, so on, next to, over, above, near, beside. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can share in your group, if you're able to unmute yourselves and talk, that would be awesome as well. I'm just going to check in with the other group and see how they're doing.
Okay.
Cool.
Is down a preposition? I'm not sure. This is like where my grammar comes in, and I'm like, I should know this, but I don't.
I don't know.
I don't believe me, I'm not sure.
But I do like toward or, towards the floor.
So on top of, next to, inside of, I don't think down is a preposition.
So
It's a-
downward is a preposition, right? When you think of words like forwards, backwards, upwards, downwards, inwards, outwards, they're definitely all prepositions or prepositional phrases.
Okay.
So we could do
Downward?
downward. Or to,
Downward
to the
or
floor.
downward? Downwards, it has an S. No?
I don't know.
There's a difference grammatically, and I certainly can't tell you what it is. Like toward and towards, there's certain usages for that.
Down
Or am
being an
I wrong?
adjective
Do you
or an
not agree?
adjective.
I don't know enough to comment on it, I guess.
Well,
All right.
maybe we don't have to be perfect. I actually
Yeah.
think the meanings of the prepositions are more clear in Spanish, but we're just going to memorize set sequences,
Right.
I hope.
Oh, right. So now the next one, like the half lift. Could we do upward?
Sure.
Do you think anything else?
I'm gonna Google like just prepositions because I feel like my mind is just blanking on what is and isn't a preposition.
I think that's awesome.
It doesn't matter if you're being 100% technically correct here. The idea is just to get you thinking about what prepositions are, really, more than anything else. Just to kind of warm our brains up a little bit in preparation for looking at them in Spanish. So I'm going to close the rooms now
Okay.
and we're going to have a clearer look in Spanish.
Thanks, friends.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. So that exercise was really designed to get you thinking a little bit about what directions and prepositions look like in English. I'd like to start you off by sharing the following word. So can you see on the screen now the slide that says directions and prepositions?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how do we pronounce that word that's there on the screen?
Asia?
Asia.
Yeah, it's not Asia, it's Asia, okay? And that's a really important distinction to make, okay? Because Asia with an accent is from a verb, okay? And we don't want to be using that today. We're using the word hacia. So hacia in Spanish means towards or in the direction of, okay? So to give you an example sentence of how we would use hacia in a yoga asana context, we might say, for example, estiramos los brazos hacia el cielo. So stretch the arms towards the sky. Now, hacia is actually a really, really useful word because we can combine it with lots of other words to create some clearer directions and prepositions. So in English, we have words that end in the termination W-A-R-D-S. So examples might be forwards, backwards, inwards, outwards, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Now, the words that end in W-A-R-D-S in English often have hacia in them in Spanish. So, for example, to say forwards, we're going to say hacia, and then we're going to add one more word. Does anybody know what that word might be?
Hacia frente.
It could
Or
be.
al frente.
That's more towards the front. Yeah?
Adelante.
Hacia adelante. Yeah.
I get that hacia confused all the time. I'm going to try to really focus on it now because you asked me, but I know that's a mistake I make constantly in writing and in speaking. So I'm glad you're making a big deal out of it.
You know what? Exactly the same thing happened to me, and I just got corrected so many times by my teachers here that it just ended up getting really ingrained in my head. So now, yeah, it gets easier. Hacia adelante. So notice that hacia ends in an A, and adelante begins with an A. So as often happens in language, when you have like two vowels that are together, they kind of get smushed into one. So a Spanish speaker wouldn't say hacia adelante with this kind of artificial break between the words. They would say hacia adelante. So let's all say that together. Hacia adelante.
Hacia adelante.
Good. Hacia adelante.
Hacia
Hacia adelante.
Good. Now, so if that was forwards, then backwards is going to be hacia.
atrás.
Good. Hacia atrás. Very nice. Backwards. And once again, it's not hacia atrás, it's hacia atrás. So let's say that together. Hacia atrás.
Hacia atrás.
Hacia atrás.
Hacia atrás.
Well done, everybody. So that's forwards and backwards. Let's deal with upwards and downwards. So upwards.
Hacia arriba.
Nice. Hacia arriba, upwards. And downwards.
Hacia abajo.
Hacia abajo. And again, the J sounds like an H there, so it's abajo. Abajo.
Abajo.
Yeah.
Abajo.
Or if you come from Madrid, it's abajo. With a ch clearing your throat. I couldn't believe the Madrid accent when I think I'd been in Latin America for a while and I came back to Madrid. And it's really popular to just use the phrase "este" in Madrid. And yeah, just heard a guy going down the street saying, "Bueno, es que no sé." And it's just, oh, it sounds really ugly sometimes, that accent. Bang. So hacia abajo is downward. And of course, the other phrases that we're going to use are inwards and outwards. So for example, when we're in downward facing dog, rotamos los brazos outwards, or, yeah, so what would outwards be? Hacia.
Afuera.
Nice, hacia afuera. And finally, inwards.
Adentro.
Hacia adentro. But you can combine the word hacia with other expressions to mean things like to the front. So hacia el frente was what somebody mentioned before. Hacia el frente, to the front. So miramos hacia el frente is just look towards the front, for example. Okay, so far so good. Hacia has been pretty good to us. It's given us plenty of different prepositions. Now, turning back to your sun salutations, what other prepositions in English did you come across? Claire, what was one of the prepositions in English from one of your postures?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
Okay. Into, like into the ground.
Yeah, so how would you say into?
En dentro, adentro.
That's a difficult one. So what was the verb that you were using?
Enraizar, right?
Okay, so in that context, enraizar, if we remember all the way back, goes with the preposition en. Enraizamos algo en otra cosa. Okay? So, enraizamos los pies en el suelo. So, en can mean a few different things. It can mean on, and it can mean into as well. Yeah? So think of, for example, as well about the verb entrar. Yeah? So you might want to say, I'm going to enter into the building. Voy a entrar en el edificio. Yeah? Good. Okay, well done. Juliana, what was one of the other directions or prepositions you came across?
Lift up. Or did we say that already?
So we've got upwards, hacia arriba. Yeah. So you're not, and that's the funny thing, right? Because in Spanish, sometimes the verb does the work. Because in English, we might say, oh, lift your arms up. But in Spanish, you could just say, elevamos los brazos, or subimos los brazos. And that means to lift them up. You don't actually need a preposition there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, sometimes people, when they say, elevamos los brazos sobre la cabeza, it's actually unnecessary to say sobre la cabeza, because where else are you going to lift your arms up? You can't lift your arms up below the head. So yeah, sometimes the verb does the work there.
But you could say sobre, right? You could say sobre.
So that's a great answer. So sobre means over, yeah? It can also mean on or on top of. For example, I might say, apoyamos el codo sobre el muslo. In that context, apoyamos is support or place. El codo, the elbow, sobre el muslo is over or on top of the thigh. Does that make sense? So, for example, in extended side angle, sobre would be a good thing there. Or it could be extendemos las manos o los brazos sobre la cabeza. Extend the arms over the head. So far, so good? Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, what else? Oh, since we're dealing with en and sobre, is there another word that might mean on top of?
On.
One more time.
Arriba.
Arriba.
Could you say like arriba?
No,
I'm sorry?
a word that means on top of.
Encima de?
Yes, encima de.
So can I ask a question about encima de?
Please.
So if you use encima de, that's something that's like touching, like la taza está encima de la mesa. It's sitting on the table. When I think of sobre, I think floating above something, like not touching. No?
Sometimes, but not always. You're definitely right that sobre doesn't necessarily mean that it's touching, but it might. You know, so especially if I'm using a verb like descansamos or apoyamos, then to rest or support might often go with sobre. Descansamos todo el cuerpo sobre la colchoneta. Yeah, and we're definitely not floating off the mat in Shavasana. So you'll see there that people use sobre to mean just on or on top of as well. But yeah, you're definitely right to say that encima de is definitely touching something. Okay, great. Any other, Vicky, were there any other directions or prepositions that you came across?
I'm trying to think. We might have covered it. We had upward, toward, to, to.
To, that's good. Yeah. That's a nice simple one. So remember that when it combines with el, yeah, makes al. So for example, lower the hands to the floor. Bajamos las manos al suelo. Because suelo is el suelo, but we can't say al suelo, because I mean, again, it just sounds unnatural. So when Spanish has that conflict between the vowels, the E is dropped and it becomes al. Okay?
Can I add another preposition that I just thought of?
Please.
Between.
Yeah, nice. Between, entre. So those of you who are French speakers need to be a little bit careful there, because we often have French speakers saying entre. So yeah, it's important to make sure you get the pronunciation there, entre, correct? So if, for example, we're saying bring the foot between the hands, okay, that's one way. We could also say frame the foot with the hands in English, right? We sometimes use that verb to frame. What do we mean when we say frame the foot with the hands?
Like put your hands around your foot?
Yeah, we mean to either side of, right? So, a cada lado, to either side of. Okay, so cada means either. And if you just wanted to say to the side of, you could just say al lado de.
What if, you know, I know we use the verb alinear to say align,
Mhm.
but if you were saying bring your heel in line with your back heel, is that a phrase that they use in Spanish?
So what would be the full phrase there?
It was something I'd written on my homework. Like it was like if I was in, like bend your front knee in line with your ankle.
Yeah, so you've got a few different options there, but I think alineamos la rodilla sobre el talón would be the correct way of saying that. So align the knee over the heel. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's just slightly different than how I said it. But the phrase like in line with isn't, you don't use that necessarily as a...
Not really, no. It would be much better to use the verb alinear, yeah? So
Okay.
alineamos la rodilla con el talón. Or
And then
sobre el
what about
talón.
if you're saying like lift your arms at shoulder height?
Okay, well that's different, yeah. That's a special phrase. So we might as well put those phrases down here as well, because they're nice phrases to use. And that's to the height of and to the width of, right? So quite often we'll say raise the hands to shoulder height or separate the feet to hip width. So in Spanish, we would say a la altura de and al ancho de. So to give you an example of sentences, subimos los brazos a la altura de los hombros and separamos los pies al ancho de las caderas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in your handout, you have a page that says other useful asana language. And there's actually quite a lot of phrases and expressions in there that we've gone just kind of adding to the list over the years. So things like change sides, return to the center, step back, half raise, tuck the head, square your hips to the mat, feel how the femur fits into its joint. So there are all kinds of expressions there that you might like to have a little read through and just kind of pick them and use them in your presentations. Because the chances are that if there's this kind of funny, slightly technical sounding phrase that you're not sure how to say, it might be there.
One thing I know I don't want to spend too much time on more vocab, but I don't think I went over twist.
Twist, yeah, that's good. We didn't go over twist because it doesn't really appear in the sun salutations, but it'll come with time. So there's 2 words. There's turn and twist. Yeah. So turn is girar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And twist is torcer. Girar and torcer. You'll find those in your verbs list.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so back to prepositions. So we've got to the side of, to either side of.
Andrew, could I ask you to clarify the a cada lado de
Yeah.
and al lado de
Yeah.
again? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So al lado de equals to the side of.
Thank you.
Or next to. Yeah. So for example, if you're in lunge and you want to bring one of your hands to the ground beside the foot, you would say bajamos la mano al lado del pie, for example. Right?
Excellent. Thank you.
A cada lado de means to each or either side of. So for example, if I wanted to bring my hands down to either side of the foot, coming from lunge down into runner's lunge, I might say colocamos las manos a cada lado del pie derecho, for example.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so here is the page that deals with all of these directions and prepositions. I think we've done most of them now. Underneath, that's one we haven't done.
Debajo de.
Excellent.
I always write that as 2 words. Another mistake.
Yeah, so it's debajo de, all one word. Good. So for example, you might say place the hands underneath the soles of the feet when you're in, what is it, Hasta Padasana, the forward fold when you step on your palms. So, what's that, sorry?
Is it Padahastasana?
I always get these confused. There's Hasta Padasana, Padahastasana. You know what? I think that they're the same thing. It's just kind of swapping the Sanskrit names around.
Padagustasana, Padahastasana.
All right. Thank you so much, Joanna. So,
Ashtanga. Those are Ashtanga postures.
Yes.
got it. But then again, so here's a little secret for those of you. Most asana was only invented within roughly the last 40 years. So the actual asana that exists for more than 100 years or so is about 16 different asana, and they're mostly sitting poses. So most like physical asana practice is a brand new invention. And really what Indian schools have just done is they've just taken names of body parts and put them into Sanskrit so that they sound, sort of traditional, basically. But if you want a full list of the really traditional yoga postures, you can go to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and there you'll find which ones they are. So things like Mayurasana, things like Urdhva Dhanurasana, bow pose, and then a whole lot of sitting meditation postures. Okay, so is there anything else? Face up and face down. I think those are really useful expressions, because often when we tell people to lie down on their mat, we have to specify, are they lying face up or are they lying face down? In Spanish, they actually use the word mouth up or mouth down, boca arriba and boca abajo. So down dog becomes a hell of a mouthful in Spanish because it's perro mirando, or let's say perro boca abajo is one option. Perro mirando hacia abajo is another option.
Andrew,
Yeah.
do most Spanish teachers say the names of the asanas in Spanish, or do they say it in Sanskrit and also in Spanish?
Totally depends on the teacher. There's no hard or fast rule. It really depends on the school that they've learned with. Some schools are very traditional and insist on Sanskrit. Other schools are very modern and say Sanskrit puts people off. Other people, like my teacher, says by all means use either, but just be consistent about it and make sure that your students know what the Sanskrit means if you're going to be using it. So there's no hard and fast rule there. Unfortunately, one thing you'll find is that Spanish is a lot more wordy than English is. Often what we can say in 10 words in English is going to require 14 words in Spanish.
Wow.
And think about up dog and down dog. They're 2 syllables, right? Okay? Raise the hips into down dog. Easy. But if you're saying perro mirando hacia abajo, that's 10 syllables where we use 2. It's a hell of a mouthful, yeah? So I've definitely heard other teachers saying perro uno and perro dos if they really want to make it condensed. Just another option for you there. Okay. Good. I think that pretty much handles directions and prepositions. Okay, so I'm going to give each of you, and you're just going to do this on your own, 2 minutes now on a piece of paper to brainstorm as many different things in the yoga studio as you can. So things like the floor, the wall, the windows, blocks, bolsters, belts, okay? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes now to brainstorm in English as many things in the yoga studio as you can. Whenever you're ready. Okay, great. So let me share my screen again now. Okay, perfect. So let's start with Claire. What is one thing or a part of the yoga studio that that you know?
The wall.
Excellent, great. The wall is very useful. Quite often we use it in class. So any ideas?
La pared.
La pared. Good, la pared. Again, I find it interesting how in Spain they pronounce a D at the end of the word there, almost like a TH in Madrid. La pared. So yeah, just another curiosity. La pared is the wall. Good. Vicky, what was one of the things that you came up with?
The floor.
Great. How would you say
El piso.
El piso. So again, this is kind of a little bit region specific as to how they say the floor, but el piso will do. What else?
El suelo.
Suelo or la tierra. Yeah. Quite often they like to be sort of a little bit more poetic in Spanish. So, enraizamos los pies en la tierra como las raíces de un árbol. Yeah. So root your feet down into the floor like a tree rooted into the earth.
You can use that inside as well.
What was that?
The question is if you can use la tierra for indoors.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds a bit odd in English, but they do it in Spanish all the time.
I hear it in English a lot too. I have a lot of yoga teachers that say that.
Oh, why not? Yeah, root the feet into the earth. Okay, great. Diane, what was one of the things that you came up with?
Me? El tapete.
So, we're talking about mats, right? The different words for mat in Spanish. So I know 4 or 5 different words that are commonly used for mat. So there's a lot of different things here. El tapete is one. Does anybody know any other words for mats in Spanish?
Colchoneta.
Yeah, that's the one I get most commonly used, la colchoneta. Good. What else?
El mat.
Indeed. You know that in Latin America, they love to just basically use words from the English language and drop them straight into Spanish. I mean, here in Colombia, sometimes it's amazing the things that you hear. It's this, ay no, este man, él es muy show, él es muy fashion, es que no sé. Anyway, so there you go, el mat, the mat. In Spain, they have a different word that they use.
Esterilla.
Yeah, la esterilla. You don't really hear the word esterilla here in Latin America at all. So just so that you're aware of that. Very good. Okay, so 4 options for mats there. You're not going to get bored with repeating the same one. Good. Catherine, what was one of the parts of the yoga studio you came up with?
A block.
A block. That's a nice, easy one.
A block.
El bloque.
Okay.
Good. What was one of the words that you came across?
Your voice broke up for me, so I don't know who you're asking.
Oh, yeah. Joanna, what was one of the parts of the studio that you came up with?
The mirror.
Nice. Yeah. So some studios have mirrors. El espejo. Good. Well done. Juliana?
El cinturón.
Yeah. So belts. El cinturón is one option. Una correa is another option. When else would you use the word correa? Una correa.
Correa. Is that like the mail or something?
They're close. That's correo. Los correos. Correa is what I would use if I were going to walk my dog. It's a leash, right? So la correa is the dog's leash, but we can also use it for a belt as well. I've also heard una cinta, funnily enough. A cinta is like a tape, but again, I've heard some people talk about a belt as una cinta as well, a strap.
A strap, that's what we're talking about. Okay, a strap.
Have you heard of la tira?
I have not.
That's because probably I invented it. So I'll just cross that one right out.
Why not? See if you can bring it into the language.
No, I don't want to invent.
Good. All right. Well done. So, Claire, were there any other things in the studio that you came up with?
Window, la ventana.
Good. Nice. La ventana. Window. Vicky?
Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. Cushion.
Yeah. So again, a few different words here for cushion. Un cojín is the literal translation for a cushion, but that's kind of like the sort of the cushion that you get in your, your house, this kind of thing. This is a very Colombian cushion. It's got toucans, pineapples, and guacamayas on it. So cushion is one. Zafu is another one, which is like the round cushion. Un zafu. And bolster. Un bolster. Again, very imaginative. They've literally pulled it from English and plopped it into Spanish.
Would you say how do you say pillow? Almohada?
Almohada.
Almohada.
Almohada. A pillow, I mean, I guess if you're using pillows, then you might say that. But if you're using cushions or bolsters, then I would choose a different word. Good.
And here's a question. Is there a difference between, in words, a bolster, like the bigger kind of almost rectangular ones, and like a cushion that you'd sit on for meditation?
Yeah, I mean,
or would you use all those same words?
I mean, for meditation, it's often un zafu or un cojín, and then a bolster is something that's generally like big and fat and bulky.
Okay.
Yeah.
And el colchón is a mattress, right?
Yeah, colchón is a mattress.
That doesn't belong here. No.
Not really, no. Yeah. Colchón is generally something that's quite thick, so we don't usually have those in yoga. Okay. Any other words that we think we might need from the studio?
Toalla.
Yeah, una toalla.
Oh, good one.
I thought that was a towel. Is it also a blanket?
A blanket is una manta.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is. So una toalla is a towel then, right?
Yeah. So if you're doing hot yoga, for example, you have your toalla.
Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense.
The other thing that we might like to talk about are the different parts of the yoga mat, right? So again, it's easy in English. The front of the mat, the back of the mat, the side of the mat. Super easy. In Spanish, it's el inicio de la colchoneta. Again, in English, super easy, the back of the mat. In Spanish, it's not so easy. It's la parte de atrás de la colchoneta. Again, it's a little bit of a mouthful in Spanish. El inicio, la parte de atrás, and then the sides are los bordes. That's always useful when you're finding your way around your yoga mat in a flow, to know how to say those things. Okay, good. So now we have all that we need to start writing cues in Spanish. And I'd like to draw your attention to the following slide. So this is how to create an effective instruction in Spanish. And I really want you to stick religiously to this to begin with, just so that you get used to working with really simplified language. And then once you've got your confidence working with simplified language, you can begin to build up the complexity a little bit more. So how are we going to deal with this? We're going to deal with, first of all, the breath, la respiración, followed by the verbo, followed by the body part, la parte del cuerpo, followed by the direction, la dirección, and finally, if you want it, the posture name. So to give you an example, inhalamos, there's the breath, y estiramos, the verb, los brazos, the object, sobre la cabeza, and then the posture name en Urdhva Hastasana. So that's one example. Or here's one for tree. Exhalamos y colocamos la planta del pie derecho en el muslo, better to say, en la postura del árbol, in tree pose. Yeah? So you can see that they're super simple sentence structures. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about how I want you to compose a sentence there? Breath, verb, body part, direction, posture name.
Would you say, like in English, would you say tomamos dos, like you say take 2 breaths?
Yeah, so tomar una inhalación, inhalar. There was another one that I was looking at today with my other Spanish group, which was, I forget now. Anyway, I have to get back to you on that. There are a few different ways of saying that.
I heard it that in one class I took, say like mantenemos, and then
Mantenemos. In what context?
like mantenemos, like dos respiración, like we're gonna stay for 2 breaths.
Ah, right. In that context, yes, good. Let me go back and pop that onto a slide here. So, mantenerse. Oop. So let's just put it. Nos mantenemos en la postura por 3 respiraciones.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way of saying it. So mantenerse means to stay, right? Or to keep yourself, yeah? In a posture for 3 breaths. The other word that you could use is sostenemos.
Mm-hmm.
La postura durante 3 respiraciones. Does that make sense? So those are the 2 ways that I would say that.
Durante. Do you ever say inspirar instead of inhalar?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't, but I think that you hear inspirar and expirar as well. But I mean, I just use inhalar and exhalar, honestly.
I wondered if that was regional also, probably.
It might be, you know. I mean, you don't hear a lot of it here in Medellin, but I've definitely seen it written down elsewhere.
I think I've just read it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Okay, great. So what are we going to do now? We're going to break up into 2 groups. We're going to go back to sun salutation A, and we're going to take around about 20 minutes to compose our sun A's in Spanish, right? Now, I want you to keep it super, super simple, yeah? Between 1 and 2 maximum cues per posture. So I'll give you an example. Nos ponemos de pie en Tadasana y relajamos los hombros. Inhalamos, subimos los brazos en Urdhva Hastasana. Yeah? So just very, very simple cues like that, following the pattern that I've just given you of breath, verb, body part, direction, posture name. Does that make sense? All right, great. So I'm going to split you into 2 brand new groups now. And we've got until around about 7:40 at the latest. So let's try and be reasonably efficient with this, because I'd like to go through them before we finish today. Okay, whenever you're ready, you can click on your rooms.
Do you want to? Oh, either one. I was going to say, do you want
Yeah,
to share?
you can share it if you
Yeah.
want.
Put your emails in the chat, and then I'll share it and give you guys edit access.
What? Okay. Never mind.
Thank you.
Okay, I got Catherine.
Tadasana.
And
Inhale.
Yeah.
okay,
Easier.
it's sent, so you guys can write in it too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I don't know. I have not done teacher training, so when you're inhaling or exhaling is kind of beyond me.
Don't worry, we can help you. And I think they actually has it on the handouts. If we pull up the
All right. Are we opening the Google Doc? Is that what
Yeah.
we're doing? Okay.
Okay, so the first one's going to be Tadasana. Okay, and so if we're in Tadasana,
We're gonna inhale. Lift up. Put your arms up to the sky. Oh, Tadasana.
like in almost. Actually, you know what? I would be. This isn't a movement, but like you're sort of like. I feel like when you're in Tadasana, you're saying like, start to breathe like with intention. Like you start to do those sort of meditative cues.
Yeah.
Empezamos a respirar. So you broke up a little bit, Juliana.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we can just like name like 3 things to activate the body, like lift your knees up, roll your shoulders up and back.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's just pick 3. So
So inhale. Oh, we have to do it in Spanish, right? Or
I think it's Spanish, yeah.
inhalamos.
Maybe like we could start by lengthening. Does that sound good?
Alargamos, right?
Alargamos.
Oh, alargamos.
Alargamos.
Alargamos. Yes.
La columna.
Alar with an R.
Should we
I
say
think it's suavemente, yeah. Suavemente.
yeah, maybe. So maybe like, and then we could root the feet into the ground.
Yeah.
Realizamos los pies. I think it's yeah, masculine. No. Realizamos. Why doesn't it like that? This is Hacia is towards.
Is this wrong?
Should you say like en la tierra? No.
I guess it's, could you say either one, right?
Yeah, whatever. Why doesn't it like en?
Yeah, because I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh no, the lengthen towards the sky. Yes, I mean to in the earth.
Yeah,
En la
that makes more sense.
en la tierra.
Perfect.
Inhalamos suavemente, elevamos las piernas, seccionamos.
What's another one? Would you say like relax your shoulder blades?
Yes. Or we could just, let's see, we have the breath. We have what, like 3 verbs? And now body part. Did we name?
So I think we've kind of been doing that here by like verb, body part, preposition, verb, body part, preposition, and then we could do one more and then say like end that one like in Tadasana, right?
Oh yeah, we forgot the posture.
Yeah, well, we just put Tadasana at the bottom. So it's like inhale, Inhalamos suavemente, alargamos la columna hacia el cielo, enraizamos los pies en la tierra y entramos en Tadasana.
Yeah, great. What verb did you use there? Entramo?
Entramos, like enter. Is
Yeah.
that right? Can we say that?
I like that. We'll see. That, like,
Yeah,
like enter, settle into is what we would say, right? Like,
Yeah, like we just arrived to class.
mm-hmm. I like that.
Llegamos. Right? I think you can say entramos.
Yeah, or llegamos, right? Arrive into, yeah, either one.
Entramos en Tadasana.
So, what was the question? Sorry.
If you can say enter into Tadasana, entramos en Tadasana.
I mean, if you're in a different posture, yes. I mean, if you're just starting in Tadasana, then it might be nice to say something like empezamos en Tadasana. Empezar is to begin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because, I mean, for example, if I were like standing with my legs wide apart and then I forward folded, then I might say entramos en trazarita, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like a more of a transition. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the next pose. The next.
Okay.
Inhale. And we'll inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. So inhalamos.
Okay. You got it?
Sure, go ahead, Claire.
Okay. Relajamos.
So la cabeza.
So there's another that would be subimos, right?
Mm-hmm. Los brazos.
Los brazos or los manos? How would you say it in English as a teacher?
I would
It doesn't matter.
say,
Arms.
Okay.
I might not even say a body part. I might say like lift up towards the sky or lift your hands. Yeah, lift your arms. I mean, I think this is all stylistic, right? Like I usually start, I think, by rooting in the feet and then going up the body, but it totally depends per teacher, per part. So
for this, I just want you to be quite efficient and just produce some reasonably simple, quick cues. So, I mean, by all means, say enraizamos los pies, but then, yeah, move on. Inhalamos, elevamos los brazos, exhalamos, nos doblamos. Yeah? I think the key is just to produce short and efficient cueing at this point.
So we can say inhalamos, subimos los brazos.
mm-hmm.
And then we can say inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Relax your shoulder. I say relax your shoulders. Do you guys usually say relax your shoulders? I think Andrew might have said he says activate yesterday.
Relajamos nuestros, it would be.
So you don't really need to possess things so much in Spanish, yeah? It's much more common to say relajamos los hombros than to say relajamos nuestros hombros, because people are not going to think, oh, you know, maybe I'm going to relax my partner's shoulders over here and give them a little massage. There's just a lot less possession that goes on in Spanish than in other languages.
Makes sense, yeah.
I think to Andrew's point, then we can just sort of do like one cue maybe per posture and then sort of move on. So I think we can do los hombros and then say like and then move on to the next one. So then we'd say, what do we say before? Doblamos, or the one that you suggested, Claire? I forget that.
Well, we did the,
Obligar.
Sí, no sé porque we don't have any body part here. Or is it understood if you're going to step that it would be your feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you only dar un paso con los pies.
You don't really need to say that because dar un paso, there's already an object there, right? Which is,
Okay.
dar is the verb and un paso is the object. So you don't need any further objects. You can't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
So, damos un paso hacia atrás.
Sí. Y entonces llevamos los codos
Sí.
hacia adentro. Wait, inward. Yeah. Llevamos los codos hacia adentro y bajamos mitad.
Could we say flexionar los codos? Codos?
So there's a few different ways that you can say this. Again, I want you to keep it simple. And when I'm moving people through Sun A, I don't have a lot of time to talk about things like elbow positioning unless I kind of pause them and we break down the posture and so on. So, damos un paso atrás a la plancha. You can name postures here, right? Y bajamos el pecho a chaturanga. And that way you've just super simplified your language. Right? Lower the chest.
You say that again. Damos un paso
atrás
a la plancha.
Ajá.
And then what else?
Con la exhalación bajamos el pecho a chaturanga.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on our belly on the floor and we have to come into up dog. So would we straighten the arms? We say enderezamos los brazos.
Sí. Enderezamos los brazos y miramos para arriba.
Okay. Okay.
Now do we want to say levantamos?
For what? For down dog?
Yeah.
Are you thinking like lift the hips?
Yes.
So the transition, so it's up, it's push the ground away, and then lift the hips.
Are we pushing the ground away or are we just straightening our arms?
Well, the arms are straight. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, lift the hips up, root the heels down.
Can we say llevamos?
Llevamos.
For the hips lifting, because we're, is that correct how Andrew was talking about moving it away from the heart and towards the heart?
So I would say llevamos las caderas hacia arriba y atrás.
Gracias.
And then I would say en perro boca abajo, for example.
So llevamos cadenas hacia arriba.
Llevamos las caderas hacia arriba.
Y hacia atrás.
Wait, is it hacia arriba o arriba? No. Llevamos las caderas arriba y hacia atrás.
Okay.
So because you're saying it's upwards and backwards, you need to say hacia arriba y hacia atrás.
Okay.
Okay, up. And then what did you say after that, Andrew? About
En perro que mira hacia abajo, o en perro boca abajo,
en perro.
or in Adho Mukha Svanasana, if you wanted to use the Sanskrit.
trabajo.
Excellent. We're in down dog already. Look at us go.
So back to Ardha Uttanasana.
Let's see. So would we say? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say we could step forward or float forward.
We could use the word float or step. Yeah.
Are we breathing anymore?
I hope so.
Breathing, the breath thing, that's something that's really hard for me. So.
Oh, sorry. So we exhaled to go to down dog, and now we're inhaling to step forward. So inhalamos. Are we going to say damos un paso
Hacia adelante.
hacia adelante?
Sí.
Okay.
Okay.
Exhalamos.
We'll do the forward fold again. Doblamos hacia adelante.
Sí. Inhalamos, estiramos los brazos sobre la cabeza.
Sí. And then when we exhale, should we, I'm trying to remember how to bring the hands together.
Juntar.
Sí, juntamos las palmas.
Juntamos las. ¿En frente del pecho o en frente del corazón?
Oh, I said en oración.
Is this another example where we could say traemos las palmas to return the hands?
There are so many ways of saying this. Traemos las palmas al corazón, bajamos las palmas al corazón, juntamos las palmas en el corazón, juntamos las palmas en antimudra, juntamos las palmas en la postura de oración. There are so many ways that you can say that.
I just have to remove something from my cat.
Sure.
How many times do you hear that in this online course?
Well, people have a lot of pets actually in the online courses that I've been teaching. It's been a real kind of introduction to people's pet life.
I bet. I've never heard anyone have to remove something
from there. Yeah, or often it's that their dog is going bananas. That's another common problem.
So funny.
Yeah. Do you have any pets, Joanna?
No, not right now. I used to have a dog, but he passed away about 4 years ago.
I'm sorry.
How about
He
you?
lived a long life, though.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm
I know.
sorry.
I'm thinking about getting another dog, but it's hard in New York.
Yeah, it's the same in Medellin that we would like to get a dog, but I mean, here in the middle of like a densely packed city, it's just not a good life, especially for a big dog. So maybe when we finally move out to the country at some point, whenever that's going to happen. We both dream about getting like a little country house out here in the mountains, because the mountains outside of Medellin are gorgeous. They're really, really beautiful.
Wow. I would love to visit Colombia one day.
Well, you're all invited to Flying Tree if you ever want to come and work on your language a little bit more further down the line.
I want to. I totally want to.
Beat the cold of December. Here in December, it's beautifully hot. So, yeah.
Perfecto.
I love it when it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot here for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Diane?
If we're lucky.
Goodness, yeah. Here, I mean, it gets a little rainier in April and in November, but that's it, really. I mean, the rest of the year is... Today was toasty warm. It was pretty hot here today. Right, I'm going to bring everybody back into the main room, and we're going to go through what we've just done.
Okay.
Thanks, friends. I might have to do a little class over there, but I'll let you know. It would be like 10 minutes, but I'll let you know because I don't know. We're kind of running out of time, but that's usually how he ends it. Diane, I was going to say how nice it is to see the sunlight out your windows in the back.
Yeah, that's the western exposure.
Yay.
I've been in here all day. I thought I'd take my computer out for our class, but I didn't get it together fast enough. And my husband was mowing the lawn, so I thought,
Yeah. That's my goal too. I'm like, okay, by next week I have to be outside for class.
I'm not going to be outside for class. It's pitch black out here right now.
I suppose.
Yeah, it always gets dark at like bang on 6:30 every night. Like there's literally no change year round in the minute that it gets dark, and it goes from like light to dark in about 25 minutes.
That's how it was where I was in Mexico too. Like just like clockwork, like all the time.
Clockwork every day. Yeah, we're practically on the equator here, so it's not surprising. All right, so being mindful of your time and wanting to finish class reasonably promptly, we're going to shoot through the text now. And we're going to create a series of cues for sun salutation A. So let's start with, what are we going to start with? Juliana, you're at the top of my screen. How would you start people off in their sun A?
Inhalamos. We put inhal. This is what we wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look for it. Sorry. Sorry, we have it in Google Docs and I have to pull it up again.
That's all right.
Where it went.
So what I'm going to show you here is I would start people off with the verb to start. Empezamos. Tadasana. Yeah? And if you want to be a little bit more wordy, you could say empezamos en el inicio de la colchoneta en Tadasana. Okay.
Andrew, is there any way we can get those notes that you're writing?
I always send them attached to the email.
Oh, okay.
So if you just look in any of your emails, you'll find screenshots of all of the notes that we've taken in every class.
Oh, I didn't have time to look at that today. I saw your email. Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So empezamos en el inicio de la colchoneta en Tadasana. Juliana, what did you get people to do next?
Inhalamos.
Mm-hmm.
Alargamos la columna hacia el cielo.
I would just say alargamos la columna. Yeah, you can't really lengthen the spine in any other way. So just keep your language brief. Good. All right. What comes next?
Should I move on to the next posture because we kind of did a lot here in Tadasana?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we said inhalamos, subimos los brazos.
So let's take away the inhalamos here. Let's just say alargamos la columna. Inhalamos y subimos los brazos. Good. Claire, what comes next?
Relajamos los hombros.
Subimos los brazos y relajamos los hombros. Nice. Okay, good. Diane, what comes next for you?
Necesito la ayuda de mi equipo.
Equipo?
Uttanasana.
Yeah.
Okay, so we use doblar. Doblamos hacia adelante.
So we're going to need the breath. Exhalamos.
Exhalamos, doblamos hacia adelante.
There's something missing.
Is it a body part?
Or you need to make it reflect.
Oh, exhalamos, nos doblamos hacia adelante.
Yeah, and hacia adelante is probably superfluous here. Why? Because we can't really fold backwards. We probably wouldn't. So yeah, exhalamos, nos doblamos is fine on its own there. If you do want to put hacia adelante, also okay. Good. Vicky, what comes next?
Inhalamos y alargamos la columna.
Good.
Miramos hacia arriba.
And we're not really looking hacia arriba so much as hacia adelante.
Sí, sí.
Good. Okay. Remember that with inhalamos and exhalamos, we don't pronounce the H. So it's inhalar, exhalar. Perfect. Okay. Who comes next? I think Joanna, is that you next?
Colocamos las palmas hacia la plancha.
So I'm going to expand on that just a little bit. Colocamos las palmas en la tierra.
Okay.
And then I'm going to want a verb to step back.
Are you being
Dar un paso
Damos un paso
atrás
atrás
A la plancha.
a la plancha.
Good.
Okay, we're-
well done. Juliana, you're... Sorry?
We're moving quickly through sun salutation A. I have way more writing on everything, but that's okay.
So I think the point is that when we're leading people in Sun A's, personally, I guide people with one breath per posture, normally in the Sun A. So unless you are really slowing things down and breaking down each posture for your students, you're not going to have time to say more. Yeah?
Oh,
The
it's good.
risk with teaching in a foreign language is that your classes totally lose their pace and they become very slow and stodgy. Yeah? So you want to avoid that, especially with standing flows. So make your standing flows very, very limited in terms of the language that you're using. And as well, I think that, I mean, this is something that I explore with my teacher training students, is how language and movement become expansive and contractive opposite to one another. So the more movement that you have, the less language you're often using. The less movement you have, the more language you're using. And quite often in the warm-up phase of class, we have a lot of movement, less detailed language. As we start to move towards the peak posture and we refine a lot of the poses, we have much more language in detail and much less movement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, my inclination is probably to talk too much. So this is
Yeah. And
good.
as and when you do a teacher training, that's something you will explore for sure. Good. Okay. So Juliana, what comes next?
Inhalamos. I don't know what we put here. This
So
is what we
probably
put.
need to come down into chaturanga first, right?
Oh, I thought we just did chaturanga.
So we're in
We're-
plancha, which is kind of high plank, and so we need to lower it to chaturanga.
Okay, so exhalamos, los soltamos y colocamos las manos en la tierra.
Okay, good.
Damos
So we're
un
already in high plank. Think about when you're in high plank and you want to come down into low plank or chaturanga. What would you instruct in English?
lower.
slowly
Bajamos.
halfway come down.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's the part that we had some trouble with. We weren't really sure. So we put bajamos los codos, medio la tierra.
Ooh, yeah. So this is where we're starting to think in English and try and translate into Spanish. So I want to avoid that if possible. Make it easy for yourself. Just say, bajamos el pecho a chaturanga. Yeah, super easy.
That is exactly what you told me, Juliana. That's what you told us to write. Bajamos el pecho a chaturanga. Or bajamos al, yeah. So,
Yeah. So with chaturanga, again, it's one of those postures that easily in an asana class, you could spend 15 minutes like looking at all of the little bits of alignment that go in the body. It's a very complex posture, chaturanga. Again, you're just not going to have time in the middle of a flow to start analyzing like the position of the elbows, the position of the chest. It's better. I mean, if I'm looking around as I teach and I see that a lot of people are struggling with their chaturanga, I'll say, okay, pausamos aquí, vamos a mirar chaturanga. ¿Listo? Acérquense, ven a mirar, and then I'll actually kind of guide them through how I would like them to do chaturanga, and then they can go back and kind of repeat that themselves. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so keeping things simple, bajamos el pecho a chaturanga. Catherine, what comes next?
You could say inhalamos.
Uh-huh.
We said empujemos las manos en la tierra y elevamos en up dog.
So, there's a few different words that I think really work for coming into up dog. One of them might be elevamos el pecho a perro que mira hacia arriba. Or another one might be extendemos los brazos en perro que mira hacia arriba. Does that make sense? So just, again, keeping it simple, yeah? Either raise the chest or extend the arms in up dog. Yeah? Great. Claire, how would you bring people from up dog to down dog?
Oh, I thought that was the one we were just looking at. Hold on. We had a question about like how can you say away, because we were thinking I was thinking empujamos las manos away de los hombros.
So that doesn't really work for me, because when I'm in up dog, my arms are already straight, my hands are already pressing into the earth, my shoulders are already engaged. So the main movement that I'm making between up dog and down dog is in my pelvis, right? Because I'm lifting, or I'm taking my pelvis away from me, yeah? I'm lifting it upwards and backwards, basically. So here's what I would do. I would say exhalamos, and then I would use the verb llevar, right? So does everybody remember llevamos is to take something away from heart center? So I would say llevamos las caderas hacia arriba y atrás en pero que mira hacia abajo. Or a lo mejor. The autocorrect is not like Adel Muka. There we go. Okay. So again, just keeping it simple, identifying the main movement that brings us between one posture and the other, and seeing how we can put that most simply into Spanish. Okay. So Diane, we're in, let's leave things there for today. We'll finish them off next time. You've all worked super, super hard today in producing your language, so well done, and thank you for being so attentive at this time of night. What would I like you to do for tomorrow? So last night you wrote a sequence in English. Does that ring a bell? You wrote a sequence of 8 to 12 postures in simple English. And I want you for tomorrow to convert that into Spanish, right? So you've got the technique now. And what I want you to do is to keep it simple, honestly. That's the most important piece of advice that I can give you. Tomorrow, we're going to be working with Paulina and with Andrea. Paulina is my assistant. She's from Mexico. She is super, super lovely. Andrea is Colombian. She's the person who teaches the teacher training here with me. We're all going to be helping you to make your Spanish sound natural to native speakers tomorrow in class. So make sure you come with your sequence ready prepared so that you have something to talk about. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, have a lovely evening. I'll share the link to class. I'll share all of the slides that we've created today. I'm also going to share with you a version of it's the sun salutation A and B that I've created that you can use that's nice and simple as well.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Have a lovely evening and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Andrew,
Que tengan una feliz noche.
feliz noche.
Gracias.
Ciao.
Andrew, can I ask you a question about a workshop you're having on
Please.
Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely.
The chakra,
With
That's
Andrea.
that's in Spanish,
It
right?
is, yeah, that's right.
And is that like $8?
Yeah, it's about $8. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's amazing. So is that gonna work the same way that how would I pay for that? Will that be a credit card or?
So I think Andrea probably has PayPal. I can confirm with her. I haven't, or if Andrea doesn't have PayPal, someone else will have PayPal, and we can pay that way. So yeah, or you know, if the worst comes to the worst, we can always do the Zoom thing again. But I'm sure we can find a way for you to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you never, not that I can do this because I'm not in any position to do this right now, but do you ever have yoga teacher training in Spanish at Flying Tree?
We do, but they are they're generally drawn out over a year, and they're presential, and they're with an Anusara school. So it's a teacher from an Anusara school who comes around about 4 times over the course of a year to Medellin, and over 2 different weekends gives the training. So it's not something that's typically very easy for it's more aimed at local people here. Whereas we do the intensive month-long teacher trainings in person or online, and those are aimed at foreigners.
Okay, well, I guess for now I'll just keep trying to take trainings when I can in Spanish. I'm
Sure.
planning on taking yoga teacher training at a school here in Minneapolis in October.
Uh-huh.
If that doesn't work out, then I would look for something else, but we're hoping that that'll work out, or that'll be online in English. So, but I really love learning this in Spanish. It's so helpful, these classes. So I want to keep looking for more.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really aware of very many online Spanish courses for yoga teachers, but one thing that we could do once this course is finished is that if you wanted to organize one-on-one study with myself, I do further training in Spanish for people. So it's a further 8 sessions that are designed to look in more detail at some of the things that we've been studying. That's something that we could talk about after the course is done.
Okay, great. Super.
All right. Thanks so much, Diane. Yeah, have a lovely evening, and we'll see one another tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. You too.
You're most welcome. Goodbye now.
Bye.